called City Council meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lamore,
Excused.
Felder,
Here.
Whitman, here. Michaelangeli,
Here.
Vining,
Here.
Germaine, here. Mayor Clark.
Here. I'd ask we all please rise for the invocation. Remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will have a special lead.
Grant us the strength to manage the challenges ahead and the wisdom to identify opportunities as we strive to serve our community. As we make decisions, grant us the gift of an open mind, the willingness to learn, and the humility to accept the ideas of others. Please help us recognize diversity as a blessing and unity as our strength.
Before we start our Pledge of Allegiance, Mark Cochran is here with the students from Raisonville School. Mark, if you could just step forward and make some comments why we're here and standing, and how it came to be that we have all these students here joining us at City Council meeting.
Yeah, we've got a packed room, Honorable Mayor, City Council, because I had the privilege to present to Mrs. Goins and Mrs. Matthews, second grade class from Raisonville Elementary a couple weeks ago about how city government is run and how local laws are passed, so they came here to see City Council in action this evening.
So do you have one student, or are they just all going to lead us?
They're all going to lead us
Okay,
all
so
at once.
I'd ask the students to please start our Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, students, and thank you for being here. I know that there's some comments that they'd like to make at the start of the public comment time, and we'll see where we'll go from there. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item would be any amendments to the agenda.
City manager or council, any amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move forward. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item would be citizen comments not related to an agenda item.
So this time we have public comments that are not related to an agenda item. We have other comments that might be made on some of those that are on the agenda. As we have many guests this evening and many topics, just remind all present here the rules of the chamber, which is, of course, we ask that you say your name. I won't expect the students to give us their address, but they could at least provide where they reside. And also be mindful of everybody's time that as the rules of the chamber are, that you keep your comments to 3 minutes. Mr. Cochran. Name, please, and where do you live?
My name is Kayla Ord, and I live in Monroe. Dear Mayor, I have seen people graffiti in our community on train cars, walls, and maybe on houses too. I think graffiti should not be allowed. One reason graffiti should not be allowed is they might graffiti on people's properties, and that's not good. They might even call the police. Another reason people also graffiti on stop signs too, so other people don't know when to stop. This is becoming a problem in our community, and I don't like it. To help solve this problem, I think people should go to court for their punishment and maybe go to jail. Thank you for your time, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Sincerely, Kayla Ord.
Kayla, thank you for your comments. Just a reminder, as we take public comments, it's the public's opportunity to share their view on items or within our community, but also provide what they wish to say. But it's not about deliberation or dialogue or debate, because this is the public's time to share with the council, and their city manager who sits with us here, as well as the clerk treasurer who takes the notes and minutes, records the minutes and records the comments, and the city manager then takes notes down as how we then provide those into the discussion with the council for a future date. So thank you for your comments. Next person, please, your name, please, and your city where you reside.
My name is Quinn Wisniewski, and I live in Monroe, Michigan. Dear Mayor, a public issue I have seen is potholes. I think you should fix the roads. One reason you should fix the roads is kids ride bikes and wheels get stuck in holes and kids get hurt. Another reason is cars go over them and pop the wheels. To help solve this problem, you could redo the roads. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, Quinn Wisniewski.
Thank you for your comments, Quinn. Next comment, please.
Hi, My name is Andy Eby, and I live in Monroe, Michigan. Dear Mayor Clark and City Council, a public issue I have seen in our community is people passing cars when they shouldn't be passing. In my opinion, I think passing cars in the city of Monroe shouldn't be allowed. My first reason I think passing cars shouldn't be allowed is it could cause an accident. My second reason I think passing cars shouldn't be allowed is it can be scary if you're in the other cars. You could put up signs that say don't pass cars. From Andy E.
Thank you for your comments, Andy. And next, please, your name.
Hi, my name is Landon Lee from Monroe, Michigan. And dear Mayor and City Council, a public issue I have seen in my neighborhood is littering. In my opinion, I think it makes our world look dirty, like if you leave a trash bag on the ground. My second opinion is that animals can't eat it, and they will either get sick or they will die. And they might go extinct, which would be sad. My solution is that maybe police officers could come to my neighborhood and watch for people littering. Thank you for listening. Sincerely, Landon.
Thank you for your comments, Landon. Thank you for all the students for their comments. Other citizen comments this evening, not related to the agenda item. Yes, ma'am. The name and address, please.
Good evening, Your Honor, and honored members of the council. What a well-spoken group of young people. Nice to see you all. Future leaders, I'm sure. I respectfully come before you with two reasons. Number one, please write down this: 11, 11, 11. November the 11th, 11 a.m., Sunday, is the centennial of the end of World War I. Not much is being done to observe this, so some of us thought we would. We're going to have a ceremony at the exact time, 11/11/11, at the historic Sawyer Homestead in the garden out front that has the Blue Star monument from the National Garden Clubs to honor all veterans. You're all invited to come. Tell everyone you know. It's free, and there will be a short reception afterwards at the Sawyer House. We surely hope to see you, and if any of you would care to make comments, we would welcome that. And then one other thing, there is the future of our Impact Station coming up, and I would hope that all of you, listening and present, and anyone that you know, would please support keeping our public access television. It is really the only form of communication that many of our people have with the activities going on, and the staff is extremely helpful and very communicative in getting messages out to our community as to activities and events. Thank you very much. See you the 11th.
Thank you, Mrs. Mick. Thank you. Other comments from those present here this evening, not related to an agenda item? Other comments not related to an agenda item? Seeing none? Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is under public hearing, item 2217, public hearing for proposed ordinance 18-005.
So at this time, I'll open the public hearing regarding proposed ordinance 18-005. All those who wish to make comment this evening, again, mindful of the rules of the chamber, now is the opportunity to make public comment regarding this proposed ordinance. Name and address, please.
Good evening. Matt Bunkelman, 1148 Maple Avenue, Monroe, Michigan, 48162. On my way here this evening, I thought of a litany of things to say, but after speaking with Councilman Felder and Mr. Budd, I would like to make one request of the council. In regards to Michigan's Public Act 269 and in regards to the Hatch Act, I would like you to table this second reading this evening. I'd like you to send it back to either committee or workshop because I believe that it is an indirect violation of PA 269 as well as the Hatch Act. voting on an ordinance that would directly impact a ballot proposal the evening before the ballot is being cast is unethical and dubious at best. So, in my opinion, I think it would be best served in light of City Council, in the City Council's interest, because, you know, if I were an attorney, I guess you could say we could argue that you guys would all be facing misdemeanor charges on the statute of PA 269. But, you know, I am not an attorney, and the way I interpret the law may or may not be incorrect. But I think it would be in the best interest of the council and the community if you would table the second reading of this tonight and move it to a different date when some more individuals such as myself and some members of possibly the marijuana business community could speak with you a little more at length.
Okay, thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Other comments from those present here this evening regarding the public hearing on proposed ordinance 18-005? Further comments? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is under council action, item 2188, proposed ordinance 18-005, marijuana facilities ordinance. Proposed ordinance 18-005 is up for its final reading.
Thank you. I'll ask Mr. Pastu first if there's some any preliminary information, and then we'll see from council their desire for action.
I have nothing further to carry forward with, maybe through City Attorney Matt Buds might care to do the introduction for it.
Sure. Mr. Buds, if you would, and as well, I know that there was a question if there was any comment related to that.
Yes, Your Honor. So as a reminder from the discussion that we had previously, and I would like to read briefly from the statement that was put out by the city following our discussion at the last meeting. Essentially, this is action that's taken that would be in concert with the ballot proposal in the event that it were to pass tomorrow evening. It's not a comment, I don't believe, by anyone on behalf of the city, as I've heard no comment for or against the passage of that. I don't think there's been any comment to that effect, and essentially the proposed ordinance is a measure that would put a pause on the city's approval for any recreational marijuana facilities, which is expressly permitted by the ballot language should it pass, and that language is specifically contained in Section 6, which allows a municipality to completely prohibit or limit the number of marijuana establishments within its boundaries should the law pass. In my opinion, this is a measure that the council could take should it choose by its action this evening to take a pause and to allow the process to run its course for some period of time before a decision's made regarding a decision which could always be changed at a point in the future through an ordinance amendment to allow certain marijuana facilities in the event that the ballot language would pass. So in my opinion, this is a pause to allow council to see how the measure would proceed. Also, there are several points of regulation that will need to occur at the state level once the language were to pass, should it pass. And so that's something that we have uncertainty right now in terms of implementation. This would allow that process to move forward, and City Council could then take appropriate action if it felt a change was needed in the future.
So with that, we need this brought to the floor from the council, and then any comments the council may have.
Your Honor, I have before we bring it to the floor, I do have a comment. Mr. Bunkelman basically inferred that the City Council is in violation of the Hatch Act. The Hatch Act does not apply to local units of government. Hatch Act applies primarily to federal employees or anybody that's availed of any federal funds for a public purpose to use those funds to coerce a political campaign or a person. So I have no idea where that concept came from, that because the council may take action on an ordinance this evening relative to recreational marijuana, that we're in violation of the Hatch Act. And I would ask the attorney if he has any opinion regarding that.
Forget about PA 269.
Mr. Welcome, or Mr. Buds?
Your Honor, I do not see any concern as far as it relates to the Hatch Act, if I may, as to PA 269, which was a Campaign Finance Act measure that was signed by Governor Snyder in, I believe, 2015. That would essentially be a situation where a city is not allowed to express or advocate support for or against a candidate or a ballot question. That means to expressly advocate to state support for the passage or defeat. I think the city has been expressly clear that that's not what's being done, and that this is action taken pursuant to the ballot language, which authorizes a municipality to take action to allow or to prohibit marijuana facilities in the event the ballot language passes. And therefore I would respectfully disagree with Mr. Bunkelman's conclusion that there's been any action taken by the city to advocate for or against the ballot language itself.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that ordinance number 1805 be placed on the table for its final reading.
Second. Motion by Councilman Nicolangelo, supported by Councilman Lamore, on item 2188 be placed on the floor for its final reading. I'll just ask if there's further comments from council regarding this. There's no other comments. Clerk, please read.
Oh, Councilperson Lamore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Whitman?
Yes.
Nicolangelo?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Germaine?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Ordinance 18-005, Chapter 542, Marijuana Establishments. An ordinance to adopt Chapter 542, Marijuana Establishments of the Code of the City of Monroe, the City of Monroe ordained.
As I call, before I call the vote, I'm just going to make one brief comment. As was stated, this and as was asked earlier, this is not council's action, whether pro or con regarding proposed ordinance 1. And it's never been put in that fashion in communications or in discussion here by council. This is about where we go forward and being proactive and be prepared as we have to make decisions potentially in the future regarding what occurs tomorrow. So it's not about that. With that, shall this ordinance pass? Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lamore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Whitman?
Yes.
Nicolangelo?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Germaine?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is the consent agenda, and for approval of payments to vendors, the amount should read $1,145,975.28. 1145975.28.
Thank you. Are there any items on the consent agenda that council wishes to have pulled for further discussion?
Your Honor, items 2205, 2206, 2207. And item 2214.
Other items from council?
Your Honor, I motion that all remaining items on the consent agenda be approved, any actions be placed on file, and all resolutions placed on file and carried out by staff, and resolutions adopted.
Second. Okay, before I take the roll call, I neglected to ask if there's anyone present here this evening wishes to have an item pulled from discussion. And Councilman is fine because I didn't speak fast enough. That falls to me. Any other items on the consent agenda that those present here this evening wish to have pulled for further discussion? Seeing none, there's a motion from Councilman Felder, supported by Councilman Lamore, to the items not pulled for further discussion be accepted, placed on file, recommendations carried out. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lamore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Whitman?
Yes.
Nicolangelo?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Germaine?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. As we move forward, I know that as I made a comment earlier in the meeting that Councilman Lamore was excused. He is very ill, and so if he departs, we know the reason why. Appreciate you knowing that there's important discussion here this evening, and besides the students and everybody. So as you wish, Councilman Lamore. So I don't want you to think that you're getting ill at the table either. So we very much appreciate your coming for the start at least. So with that, clerk, next item, please.
Next item is item 2205, Professional Services Award, Jefferson Court and Godfrey Avenue paving and water main.
Thank you. Councilman Michelangelo.
Yeah, the question I have, Your Honor, it's really for the city manager. I'm assuming this item is kind of the reflection or maybe the model for what's going to happen with pre-qualified engineering services in the future.
Through the mayor, yes, it is. We talked about that last Friday, that clearly we wanted to start moving forward with soliciting proposals from pre-qualified engineering firms related to survey and design work, and this is reflected in the Jefferson Court and Godfrey Avenue. We did have 3 pre-qualified bids received, and we're recommending the low responsive bid with Manick and Smith Group.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that the professional service agreement with Manick and Smith Group in the amount of $30,044 for survey and design services be approved.
Second.
Okay. Yes, there's a motion by Councilman Michelangelo, supported by Councilman Felder for item 2205. Be approved. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lamore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Whitman?
Yes.
Michelangeli?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Jermaine?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is item 2206, Professional Services Award, Hollywood Drive Water Main and Resurfacing Design.
Your Honor, actually, I pulled 2206 and 2207 primarily because they're the same issue. We have a recommendation from the city engineer basically to award a survey to Manick and Smith for Hollywood Drive and then one for Maywood Avenue. When I add up the numbers for both of the surveys, we're at $44,300. Part of the issue I have is when we're talking that kind of money, I think it's prudent that we get competitive proposals. But the second reason is that I think, at least my personal belief is that when we give an engineering firm the topographic survey work, they automatically have an edge on the design work, and then therefore we're going to probably, in all likelihood, see the same firm be awarded the design and engineering because they already have the topo survey completed. So I would prefer when we get into this situation that we competitively bid these projects rather than award them to a single source.
Mr. Master, any comments?
I would agree in the circumstance similar to what we had with the last item that was approved by council, is that's long-term where we're headed, is to solicit competitive bids with the pre-qualified engineering firms for survey and design work. In this circumstance, I'll have Mr. Lewis talk a little bit about, particularly with the first one with Hollywood Drive and some of the work that's already taken place with Manick and Smith for a related project in that area, and we can discuss further what the next steps will be.
Very good. Mr. Lewis?
Again, Honorable Mayor and Council, Patrick Lewis, Director of Engineering and Public Services. And philosophically, I would agree with Councilman Michelangeli. I think that we would, if I could back this up to June when we first went out for the survey work, we would probably put it as a package. And I think that's correct. And typically, yes, if we had one firm do the topographic survey, there would be some efficiency to be gained with going with the same firm for design. And that's what we did with the Hollywood project. I will tell you, we did not intend back in June that a design firm was going to actually do the design work. As I mentioned during the work session, we've had a very, very challenging construction season, and it's lasted well beyond when we thought, and we still aren't finished with some of the projects. So it became apparent a few weeks ago that we weren't going to be able to allocate sufficient staff time to get all of our water main and street projects done on time. So we had originally intended that Hollywood would just be survey, because we have been farming out survey work for the last 2 years since our survey crew leader retired, but that our staff would do the CAD cleanup and the design work. That's why we didn't combine the survey and the design in the same award back in June. That's what we're doing with Jefferson Court and Godfrey, and that's why we went out for competitive proposals. But it's fairly apparent based on the numbers we've seen in the past that if one firm's already got the survey, that will be the lowest priced firm, and there's something to be gained with not having a second firm get in there and have to manipulate the data with different types of standards and things. So I did ask that we extend that in this point, and I think given where the bids, I don't want to say bids because it's a professional service agreement, but where the proposal pricing came in for the 2 new projects, Jefferson Court and Godfrey, it's pretty clear that it's highly unlikely that another firm would be lower on the Hollywood project, having the firm in question here, Manick & Smith, already had the survey data. So I wasn't worried about the cost control aspect of it. Philosophically, are we spreading the work among a number of firms? That's probably a different discussion for a different day. But in this particular case, I would agree that yes, they will have a leg up if they do the survey work, but for future projects, moving forward for our 2019 and beyond, I think we're going to be awarding everything as a package, survey and design at one time, just because of our limited staff capability, particularly this year with getting things out for bid in the wintertime.
Okay,
Councilman?
yeah, and the only reason why I brought this up, this is not the first time that we've gone out to survey with Manick & Smith, and then the next 3 months later we get a letter saying now we want to award them design because they did the topographic survey. I think that's kind of a backdoor approach, and it's not competitive, and it's not fair to the other engineering firms. But if this is the last time that we're going to do it, then let's move forward. But from now on, I'll be the first one that pulls it off the agenda if I see another topographic survey only awarded to a firm, because that puts everybody else at a competitive disadvantage.
Councilman, I understand that, and I will tell you that all of our CIP funded projects for 19 and 20 will now have been awarded with tonight's action. So it's not going to come up absent a project that council brings forward. North Custer does not require any survey, and it's minimal design. So our staff will be doing that. And again, if I could predict in May and June what my engineering staff would look like, I had one person resign within that time. And, we didn't know what the end of the season was going to look like. If I was able to predict that, yes, in May and June, we would have looked ahead and done that. So I can't do anything else, go back in time and undo what we already did, but I'm confident that what we brought to you tonight was the most cost-effective proposal on all of the above. So I can tell you that we will make that our policy and procedure moving forward.
And if I can give you my assurance that going forward, that's how the business will be handled with our civil engineering, surveying, and design.
Aaron, I'll make a motion that the items 2206, 2207 professional service awards be awarded to Manick & Smith for the two projects, and the necessary agreements be signed by the city.
Second. Motion by Councilman Michaelangelo, supported by Councilman Lamore on item 2206 and 2207, the professional service awards be accepted as presented. Any other comment? Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lamore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Whitman?
Yes.
Michaelangeli?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Germaine?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is item 2214, approval of grant-funded professional service agreement for Telegraph Road corridor study.
Your Honor, I asked to have this approved. I went through the scope of work that was submitted by MKSK, and I would like to add two stipulations to the scope of work, assuming, and I don't see the stipulations that I'm going to add in no way should increase the cost of the project. First, under their scope, they have a section called outcomes. I wanted to add in number 6. They had 5. I wanted to add number 6, and number 6 is an outcome of the study will include specific recommendations regarding an institutional framework and entity that will be responsible to advance the recommendations outlined in the plan. The way that they had it set up was that they may indicate or they may identify some appropriate strategies for implementation. I think based on what we're doing and the scope of the work, they should be able to actually recommend an institutional framework that we need to follow to implement the project. And number 7, the overall corridor land use plan will be based on existing conditions, market opportunities, and best practices needed to repurpose a suburban corridor commercial strip. Because there are best practices out there relative to how to take a 1950, 1960 commercial area and repurpose and reinvent it. And I'd like those best practices included in this plan that we're going to authorize. So, Your Honor,
I just have a question before you make
Yeah.
a motion. That way you can get the questions out of the way as well. Institutional framework, just maybe a clarification from me.
well, is it going to be a corridor improvement authority, for example? but not just a recommend, not just a, you can create it, but a firm recommendation that it should be created.
Because that has been discussed at our work sessions and dialogues, so
Right.
I understand now what you're referring to.
I want to get rid of the mays,
I understand.
and I want shalls.
But
Okay.
the framework,
I
of course,
understand
we
what
talked about
that
the,
added was.
that corridor improvement authority, what that brings and the partnerships and the involved with that. I understand what you're referring to now. Thank you. Sorry, but go ahead.
Yeah, Your Honor, I provided a copy of the motion to Michelle. The motion is to approve the professional service agreement from MKSK to conduct a telegraph corridor improvement plan with the following stipulations. 1, an outcome of the study shall include specific recommendations regarding an institutional framework and entity that will be responsible to advance the recommendations outlined in the plan. Number 2, the overall corridor land use plan will be based on existing conditions, market opportunities, and best practices needed to repurpose a suburban corridor commercial strip.
So I just before you, because you're making a motion to accept
Yes.
the item 2214,
Correct.
adding
Those two.
items being 6 and 7 within the
Within their
agreement.
scope.
Questions from council?
Small inquiry as to the councilman's motion. Point 2, would that mean that it would have to incorporate the recommendations put forward in the plan for the sub-area review? Is that your thinking? That we already received?
For the Lazy Boy,
Yeah.
I would assume that'll be incorporated into the overall corridor because it's such a significant piece of property.
Yeah, that was certainly one.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Mr.
Oh, yeah,
Pass too
yeah.
as well.
The other part, and I'm assuming that Mr. Green and Mr. Cochran and Mr. Pastu, the proposal said they would identify 3 specific sites for redevelopment alternatives. I'm assuming that Lazy Boy's not going to be one of them. So we'll end up with actually 4. Okay, just clarification.
So that's a good question, Councilman, because we have approved and are working on that the sub-area plan for Lazy Boy property. This here being the Telegraph Corridor, as we all know, and just for those that are watching as well and that are here, the grant, this proposal, of course, is a grant-funded professional services that came through SEMCOG, and that's the corridor on Telegraph. That includes the area where Lazy Boy property is, but it extends even further. So it's a good question because it takes the responsible councilman as well as other areas that we're going to be identified that they meet along the lines. And so it really intertwines everything. So thank you.
Because it was a pre-existing plan, and I think you said somewhere in the amendment that it had to incorporate, what was the language? Was it point 2?
The overall corridor land use plan will be based on existing conditions, market opportunities, and best practices.
Market opportunities. The market opportunities identified by plans such as the sub-area plan that we just conducted.
It's a good point.
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay, there's a motion from Councilman Angeli regarding 2214.
I would support the councilman's motion.
There's a second by Councilman Felder. Any other discussion or comments? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lamore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Whitman?
Yes.
Michaelangeli?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Jermaine?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item.
I have no other items.
Councilman comments. Councilman Lamore, first up.
Oh, great.
Thank you again for, I know that we talked earlier, so.
Well, I feel like I'm going through a little bit of a reprieve, so I'm feeling fairly fortunate. But I'd like to congratulate the Monroe High School football team on their great season. Brought a lot of success to Monroe, a lot of pride. That was great to see that this year. And I also like to congratulate SMCC High School on their quest to continue their season. And that's it. I'll be very brief because I don't think I can say much more.
Thank you. Good comments. Councilman Felder.
I would just like to thank Councilman Lamore and his desire to discuss professional services awards. I think he's hardcore. We can all take a lesson from him. In more serious matters, the students here this evening, my goodness. Graffiti, potholes, cars and traffic, illegal traffic, littering. These are serious issues, and we saw the same thing from youth in our community when the student advisory council came to make suggestions as well. And the maturity of these students is so surprising every time. I guess at some point we should all stop being surprised at the leadership capabilities and the priorities coming from the very young members of our community. I hope one day when my son grows up that they can be as smart and mature as the kids here assembled in this room. And what a great showing from Monroe Public Schools. Their superintendent was here. One of their school board members was here. I thought, and no less than 5 media outlets. It was a busy night for us. And then tomorrow. I know it's wet. I know it's cold. You'll survive. I promise. Go vote. Thank you, Your Honor. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilwoman Whitman.
All I have to say is go vote.
Thank you. Councilman Eclangley.
I want to take this time, I want to wish Michelle best of luck. Elections are elections. People should go out and vote. It's a very important election, and that's all I have tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Miney.
Yes, Your Honor, I just want to say don't forget to vote tomorrow. Very important.
Hang on with me, Councilman Lamore. I do have a couple items here. You're doing well. First thing is for the, oh, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Germaini. I've done this before. I look to my right and I got it there. Councilwoman Germaini, you have lots to say.
I have lots to say. A week from today is Veterans Day, so I'd like to thank all our veterans for our service. And if it wasn't for them, we would not be where we are today. Also, on November 14th at 7:30, at the Resurfacing Center for the Arts, there will be a concert by the Air Force Band of Mid-America. And it's a hot brass band, so it should be pretty lively. And it's free, so. And vote tomorrow, please. No, I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah, I have two less things I need to say now. That's wonderful. First, I want to remind council that as we've go into the end of this year, the city manager's evaluation will be coming up. As you recall, a year or so ago, everybody would be aware that we got away from the July and to the end of the season. So you'll be getting an email from me with the evaluation form. We'll have a deadline. I'll get that in the email as well toward the end of November. And then we set a review date with the city manager in December meeting. So you'll be getting that email with the information. Just be mindful of the return date. And if there's questions beyond what I put in the information, what needs to be done, please give me a call so we can get those collected. And the city manager have an opportunity to review those as we prepare to sit down and discuss the past year. The tree lighting for the city of Monroe is scheduled for Saturday, November 17th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. The tree will be lit at 7 p.m. Please come down and enjoy yourselves and everybody and families in Loringer Square. The streets will be closed off. Great opportunities. I know that food trucks will be there as well. I know that Run Hip is partnering with the DDA in the city. I was going to have Santa and Mrs. Claus there, opportunity to visit with the children, carriage rides from the Tourism Bureau, and some other activities, like a nativity, I believe, and the church is also helping with some of those activities. The Historic District Commission has a program, and I see Mr. Green is here, and he's a part of that. It's titled Researching Your Historic Home. That'll be held on Wednesday, November 14th from 6 to 8:30 p.m. at City Hall in the third floor conference room. Great opportunity to think about the old home that you have and maybe ways in which you can do a little research, learn about it, and because we have a very historic community, as we all know. Thank you for the comment on Veterans Day, Councilwoman, and Mrs. Micka here was here earlier. Just remind everybody on Sunday, November 11th at 11 o'clock that there'll be a remembrance regarding what was Armistice Day, now Veterans Day. Also, reminder: City Hall will be closed on Monday, November 12th in honor of Veterans Day. So I think the which Councilman Lamore's on the or Councilman Feller, I'm sorry, on the students. Our Student Advisory Council, and I know that Mark Cochran champions that with the superintendent from the schools and others. But this year it's Monroe students and SMCC students. So we've really got both of our community students within this advisory council, and they've started their first meeting. They'll be coming up, and we can expect to see them toward the end of the school year with what they're going to propose that we need to be doing, putting into our plans as well. Last thing, of course, has been said, please everybody vote. There's opportunities. It's easy enough to go in and vote and share your voice with the community and with as we move forward as a community and as a state. Clerk Treasurer Lavoie.
Yes, elections are elections, and we have a big one tomorrow. We have about 2,200 absentee ballots that were requested. We have 89% of those returned. So I would encourage anyone, that is a very high number, that's presidential, that's 2016 numbers, and that's unheard of in a midterm for the city of Monroe. I would, though, encourage someone, if you want to double check to make sure that we did receive your absentee ballot, you can go on the Secretary of State Bureau of Election website and put your information in, and you can actually click where it says absentee ballot, and it will tell you when we received your ballot. So it's just a good double check if you'd like to check that out. We will be open for voting from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. We have added some additional voting booths in some locations, and potentially anticipating a higher crowd, and we have assigned some additional election inspectors as well. No results. We were asked today if we would be releasing results of absentee voting early in the day. No results will be released until after 8 o'clock, after they have gone through the receiving board. That's just the way we do it here in Michigan, and we will be following the law on that. And finally, someone will be in the clerk's office. We start at 5:30. We have some things to do at the precincts before they open, but there should be someone at City Hall at 7 a.m. So if you have questions about voting, if you have any challenges when you go to a polling location, please contact the clerk's office, and we will work with you to make sure that everyone who is eligible to vote and registered to vote will be able to cast their ballot. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pastor, any comments this evening?
Nothing else to add, Your Honor. Thank you.
So with that, are any comments from those present here this evening? Any further comments from those here in attendance? Yes, sir.
Honorable Mayor and Council, Scott Smiley, Monroe Fire Department. I just want to inform the public that on November 21st, we will be having our annual Thanksgiving dinner that the fire department puts on. This is our 28th year of doing this, and last year we served over 900 meals. So we put that on with our family and our retirees, and we cook over 40 turkeys, and it's a full-fledged meal. We have ham, mashed potatoes, stuffing, gravy, everything that goes along with it.
The venue, where it'll be?
We're going to be at the Oaks of Righteousness, the old St. Joe's Church. That's where we've had it for many years in the past.
Is there a particular time of start, or?
Yeah, we'll have tickets available. We'll be passing out tickets to different places in the city. We also have tickets for pickup at our station number 1 there on 75 Scott Street. Times are from 3 to 6. We'll have an hour for each meal. So we'll be serving 4 different meals.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Any other comments from those present here this evening? Seeing none, motion will be in order.
Motion to adjourn?
Support.
Motion by Councilman Moore, supported by Councilman Felder. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lamore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Whitman?
Yes.
Michael Angeli?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Jermaine?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes.